Thorn Cultivation. The biting chill of December's night seeped into our bones as Zane and I shared a wooden bench, nursing cups of coffee. The moon hung low, its pale light barely enough to illuminate the torment in his eyes. I broke the silence. "You look heavy with sadness tonight, Zane." He sighed deeply, a sigh that carried years of sorrow. His voice trembled as he began, "Tamor, we were a family once, whole, unbroken, and happy. 2 brothers, 3 sisters, and our parents who were the kind of people whose love shaped everything they touched. Ours was a middle-class life, but it was filled with joy. In 1982, on my brother's wedding day, happiness adorned every corner of our home. My mother, a woman of simple joys, poured her heart into welcoming my sister-in-law, Samina, into our family. She loved her like her own daughter. My father, though not wealthy, believed in giving with an open hand. They spared no effort even though their pockets were tight. Samina seemed kind and gentle at first. My mother, enchanted by the idea of having another daughter, doted on her. Whenever a bangle seller passed by, she'd rush out to buy them for Samina, saying, "A new bride should always wear bangles." When Samina became pregnant, my mother didn't think twice about sacrificing her own needs to buy nutritious food for her. She shielded her from household burdens, telling her daughters to handle most of the chores. God blessed my brother and Samina with 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. But with time, her bright smile began to dim, replaced by dissatisfaction that spread like poison through the family. She began to speak of living separately, insisting that a joint family was burdensome, that her freedom was shackled by our presence. One day as I passed their room, I overheard Samina complaining bitterly to my brother. Her words were sharp, each one slicing through the delicate fabric of our family. "I want to be free, unbound. Why can't we have our own life?" she said. My brother, ever loyal to our mother, tried to reason with her, but she was resolute. I confronted my mother about it later, asking, "Why don't you say something? Why do you stay silent while she disrespects you and hurts you?" My mother, with tears glistening in her eyes, replied, "Why should I burden my son with complaints? He comes home after a long, tiring day. As a mother, my duty is to ease his pain, not add to it." Her words broke something inside me. She bore every insult silently, protecting her son even as her own heart shattered. Samina manipulated her children, whispering to them that we were bad people. But the children in their innocence would ask us, "Why does Mama say these things about you when you're so kind?" My mother, ever patient, would try to explain, but Samina would appear, acting as though she were blameless. The children began to see through her double-faced nature. Years passed and life scattered us. My sisters married and moved to Canada, while the rest of us tried to hold on to the fragments of our home. Samina's discontent grew like a dark shadow, pulling everyone into its depths. She spent money meant for others on herself, lied about it, and turned even the simplest joys into conflicts. Our parents, the pillars of our family, began to crumble under the weight of it all. They passed away, their hearts heavy with worry for my brother. With their departure, the house that had once been a sanctuary felt hollow. Last summer, I visited my brother's home. It was no longer the warm, lively place it had once been. The air was thick with tension. His sons, now grown, were at each other's throats. His daughters, too, had grown distant and resentful. Samina sat across from me, her face etched with the lines of bitterness she had cultivated for years. She spoke, her voice hollow, "My children don't love each other. They fight all the time. They don't respect us as their parents." As she said this, a strange look crossed her face, a realization perhaps. She fell silent, lost in thought, and then, as if speaking to herself, she murmured, "The thorns in my life are the thorns I cultivated with my own 2 hands." Her words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of a lifetime of choices. I sat there, unable to say anything, my heart aching for what could have been. Zane's voice trembled as he finished his story, his coffee long gone cold. "Tamor," he said, his eyes glistening with unshed tears, "she planted thorns and now thorns are all she has left." The night seemed darker, the cold deeper. I looked at Zane, unable to find words to comfort him. Some pain, I realized, was too profound to be eased by words. Lesson of the story. If we cultivate thorns, we will reap only thorns. But if we plant flowers, we will be surrounded by fragrance and beauty.